Hello everyone and welcome to the Dig podcast. I am super excited to be bringing you some of the most inspirational guests over the next few weeks and months. I always try to speak to people who are making a difference in business and in life. The two definitely can't be separated. I know that more than anyone. So I hope when you're listening, you get inspiration both in your business life and in your personal life to make changes for the better. That's why I made the Dig podcast. So hello everybody and welcome to the Dig podcast. This is a podcast with a difference today because I have three people on the podcast as well as myself. So I hope we get through all the technical aspects and everything goes all right. I have BNL Productions behind me, so all will be grand. So I have the amazing marketing team here from the Galgorm Collection, and I'm so excited that they agreed to be here. I'm going to introduce them all to you all briefly and then I'll let the girls all describe their own roles and what they're doing. But I just want to tell you a wee bit of history about the Galgorm as well, because some people aren't aware of how it all started and the journey. But I have McKernan with me today, and Catherine is the marketing team leader. And I also have Victoria Brown, who is the marketing manager. And I have Leigh Heggarty, who is the business development manager. So we're going to cover everything with those girls, and I've already had a chat with them, and honestly the value they're going to bring is unreal, so keep listening. I just want to tell you a wee bit about the Galgorm. So obviously we know it's an amazing establishment and everything that goes on there is always top class, but how did it all begin? And I have to admit, I didn't really know either until I started to do my research. So whenever we think about the Galgorm, we obviously think about the amazing spa and all the different experiences there and the restaurants on site and the weddings and the conferences, but there's so much more to the Galgorm, and the Galgorm Collection is really what it's known as, and I wasn't really aware of that either. So within the Galgorm Collection, you obviously have the Galgorm Resort. Then you also have the Rabbit Hotel, which I can't wait to hear all about on the podcast today. Cafe Parisian, the Fratelli restaurant, all of these things that I didn't really realise was all part of this amazing collection. So I'm so excited for you all to hear about it. But where did it all start? The actual house was bought by a man called John Young in 1845, and it was demolished and rebuilt in 1857. And that house and the two gate lodges are actually what the Hill family bought in 1991. So that house is, and the girls will correct me if I'm wrong, standing as it was back then. Obviously it's been refurbished and all of that, but the history there is just, it actually gives you shivers to think of the time and all the experiences that have happened there. So it gives you so much more than just a hotel, or and you can feel that when you're there. And the journey that it's been on since 1991, I have to tell you it now. The girls are going to talk about their roles and all, but I want to tell you this journey that they've been on. So I've all written down here because there is so much. But in 1991, when the Hill family bought it, it was transformed into 23 guest rooms. It was then rebranded in 2006 to the Galgorm Resort and Spa and Galgorm Manor, and it became 75 guest rooms. So this is just to tell you the journey. Every business has a journey. This one is phenomenal. In 2014, Fratelli Belfast opened. 2015, an £11 million investment. It saw the unveiling of the thermal spa village and 48 extra deluxe guest rooms and suites. It just keeps getting better. And then in 2019, it was rebranded to be the Galgorm Spa and Golf Resort, and an additional 17 cottage suites. So you can see it's just growing and growing. And then in 2020, another 2 million investment saw the thermal spa village enhanced dramatically. And 2020, the first phase of the Rabbit Hotel, which we're going to talk about to Victoria as well, in Temple Patrick, opened its bar and restaurant, and they're planning for the rooms and the spa to be open now in 2021 when we're allowed. So we're all chomping at the bit for that. So that's just a wee brief bit of their journey, but what a flipping journey. And girls, I don't want to be talking on this podcast. It's always about the guests. So I just want to launch right in now and talk to you. So girls, can each of you tell me a wee bit about what you do as part of the marketing team? And Catherine, if you want to start. Thank you so much for being here, Catherine, by the way.
No problem at all. Thank you very much for having us, Caroline. So my role as marketing team leader, I'm predominantly involved with supporting the wider marketing team and with an emphasis then on delivering our digital strategy. So that covers everything from our website, our social media, email marketing, and general content creation across all of the brands. I'm also then involved in development of our Galgorm Collection app and our recently launched Shopify store.
Oh, right, okay.
So then as the team leader as well, I would support the girls in the team to make sure we sort of meet all deadlines and just generally assist in any way I can. So it's a very diverse role, and I'm sure Leigh and Victoria would agree that no 2 days are ever the same, so keeps it very exciting.
Okay, so that's your in your role, but then obviously Leigh, you would cover different things. Obviously you're all a team, but what would your job role be?
I'm slightly different. I'm the business development manager, and I've been doing that role now for 5 years at Galgorm. So I look after international markets. So that's everything from golf, luxury leisure, incentive market, could be anything from North America to the Middle East. So I go out, I use trade platforms provided by, say, Tourism Northern Ireland and Tourism Ireland. And I go out around the world and I promote Galgorm. But not only am I ambassador for Galgorm, I am for Northern Ireland. So it's a destination sell for me. So prior to that, I worked in travel and tourism for 18 years. I know I don't look that old. But I've always had a passion for travel and tourism. So this role was ideal for me because I get to do what I love.
Oh my God, it sounds so exciting. I can't wait to hear all about that. And then Victoria, you tell us what you get up to then in the team.
So yes, I'm Victoria. I'm the marketing manager here at Galgorm Collection. I have been working across the collection now for the last 12, nearly 13 years, and I definitely look younger than you, Leigh. My role then really is to look more further out at the strategy really, and looking, and putting together our plans for the next 1 to 5 years really, and working across with our leadership team to come across with looking at what developments are coming up, together then the bones of the campaigns further out, and then handing over really and supporting Catherine and the team then to roll out the everyday marketing then. Like Catherine says, it is a very diverse role, and because we have grown so big so quickly really, it's been a fantastic opportunity for us, that I guess to a certain extent we have got a fantastic product here, Caroline, and a lot of it sells itself because it's been amazing that the investment journey that the owners have been on since 1991, since purchasing the product. So it makes our job a little bit easier that we have got a fantastic product to market.
Oh my God. And I have a funny story to tell you about, I have been to the Galgorm for a lot of conferences, and this is a funny story before we move on. So my car is a mess with 3 kids, right? So I don't let anyone into my car that doesn't belong to my family because they would judge me greatly on the mess of it. So anyway, it was bucketing down, and the hotel being the hotel that it is, and the staff, the gentleman at the door insisted that he would take my car and park it. And I said, oh, no, it's grand. It was a women in business conference. I said, honestly, I'm fine. I don't mind getting wet. He said, I wouldn't have you getting wet. No way, in that lovely suit and all. And I said, oh my God. So he took my keys and away he jaunted in the dirtiest car in the country, and him like dressed like royalty. And he was so lovely, and he came back, and it made me feel like, even though it's such a 5-star grand place to be, the friendliness, the family kind of nature, and with all the staff and how they are, he came back and he made me feel so like, oh sure, everybody's car I take over there is the same, don't you be worrying. And I just, that's a funny story where I cringed inside, but when I left, I felt it was such a lovely feeling that day that I'd been in the hotel and made feel so welcome, and so like everybody's car's dirty, which I know is a lie. Anyway, that's a funny story. And that's why when you're all talking about the amazing collection, like it seems so elite, but it's actually very, very personable and very much tailored for the Northern Ireland like market, like how the staff is and everything. So you can tell that man, I never got his name, but he was a gentleman. Leigh, you were talking there about your job, like it sounds so exciting, but what has happened to your job role now since COVID? Like you've talked about travel and all there as part of it, so how has it changed? What's going on?
Yeah, right now my today is very different to pre-COVID, where I would have been heading to the airport, getting ready, prepping for an overseas event, adjusting to time zones, basically running on adrenaline. But that's what I love to do. So my job's all about promoting. I work with Victoria and Catherine. They provide me with all this fantastic collateral and marketing material that I can use to promote Galgorm. Life has gone virtual. It's key to keep in contact with those clients. So I can't go and see them personally. And for me, that was key in my last role in travel and tourism. I traveled a lot and I was able to sell a destination if I'd been and experienced it firsthand. So that's what I'm trying to do at Galgorm. I want to get as many people over as possible. And I love to see their face. I love taking them on the journey around Galgorm, telling the history. I'm a local girl. I grew up a mile away from the hotel. So I've seen it evolve over the years, and the investment and the innovation and, how we've all adapted as a team. So COVID has really threw that all up in the air. So we're trying to do it all virtually. It doesn't necessarily work as well virtually, but we're making the most of it as we can. Tourism Ireland, Tourism Northern Ireland provide some great trade platforms. I'm about to do one on Monday and Tuesday. It's a Middle East sales mission. So yeah, it's an exciting role. You couldn't do it if you weren't passionate about it.
So when you're doing, just so I can understand too, when you're doing those meetings, you're presenting how amazing the hotel is to kind of encourage them to come visit and book conferences there and golfing and things, isn't that right?
It's definitely to different markets. You would tailor your presentation depending on what market you're trying to promote the resort to. But Galgorm, is such an amazing destination. It ticks a lot of boxes for different markets. So you're able to adapt and, change your presentation to suit the needs of that client. So yeah.
Okay, and it was obviously rebranded there in 2019, wasn't it, with the golf resort on it? So what has that done for the business? How has that changed things?
Yeah, well, golf, when I came into the business 5 years ago, golf wasn't a huge focus. It's a passion of mine. And I knew that what was coming ahead was going to be very lucrative for Galgorm. The international market couldn't differentiate between Galgorm Castle Golf Club and Galgorm Resort. So it made sense to add golf into the brand name. And when we did that, I found it easier to sell because we had more credibility in that particular market. I introduced through my connection governing bodies such as the European Tour and the RNA to Galgorm. And then I pitched for contracts such as host property for the British Open in Portrush in 2019. So yeah, we've had some really great contracts from it. And golf in Northern Ireland has really taken off. We hosted the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open at the end of last year, which was fantastic. And obviously the Open's going to come back to Portrush again. So yeah, there's loads of opportunities there. And Galgorm, Northern Ireland is seen as a destination for golf.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Obviously, it's amazing that you are all part of that journey with the country as well now, and rightly so.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying how lucrative that golf industry is.
Yeah.
The overseas one, they're high-end, high spend. Their average spend is £600 to £700 a day.
Wow.
They want the single rooms, they want the spa, they want local food produce, they want bars, restaurants, entertainment, and great golf. And Galgorm ticks all those boxes for them.
Oh my God, I might take it up myself now. You're selling it today. So how do you see international travel moving forward? Do you think you're going to be getting back to go to those conferences? Is it going to stay virtual for a while? And how's that going to impact on it sounds like you have it sussed now with still doing your presentations online and things, but how do you see that changing?
Definitely you have to keep in contact. I do think 2021 is going to be the year of the staycation. But our vision is to create an internationally recognized destination. So we want to keep our finger on the pulse with all of that. And that's my job. So yeah, I think international travel will come back. I'm lucky that my clients haven't cancelled their business for 2021 or 2020. They've postponed it to 2022. So there is that want and that need to travel again. I know I certainly want to get on a plane as soon as possible. Confidence in the Middle East sales mission that I'm taking part in on Monday and Tuesday. There's over 300 agents have signed up for that. So, you know, that's really instilling confidence in me that there is a need to travel again.
Oh my God, it makes me, like, when I hear that from someone like you, I'm like, you know, everybody's clinging on to words of hope, and that makes me feel like, oh my God, it's definitely going to be okay. When the marketing team in Galgorm said we're going to do it, we're definitely doing it. So that's brilliant to hear that, and it's deadly to see that that whole side of the business is still driving forward regardless. Obviously things have changed, but you're still moving forward with the plans that were there. They're maybe just going to be a little later, like in 2022, but love hearing that, Leigh. You're going to be on a plane very soon, I know it. Catherine, I just wanted to move on to yours. So can you tell us, like, every business now has to have a marketing strategy. There's no more sitting on your laurels, like, you know, hoping that the customers come. You need to have that strategy, and you guys have, like, seem to have it well oiled, like it's a machine, and it's going so well. But can you tell us, like, how your marketing strategy has changed in the last 12 months? I know that's a pretty big question, but just, you know, is there anything you can tell us about how that has changed for you?
Yeah, so obviously when COVID hit in March, it was the same for everybody, you know, thrown into a complete unknown industry closure we've never experienced before. I think it was just a general uncertainty of how long is this going to last, that type of thing. It definitely obviously presented its own challenges for every industry, but I think in terms of marketing, it was very much, we had to stop, kind of reevaluate where we're at and completely overhaul our strategy, I suppose. So for us, we sort of tried to look at our target market and see what the customer sentiment was like at the time. And as I'm sure everyone would agree, it was very much, we knew that when restrictions would be lifted, travel is going to be different. The customer journey was going to vary to many levels. So from there, we kind of focused on communication from the very beginning. I'd say communication was probably, you know, set the groundwork for our strategy. So we began with a survey that we sent out to our email database to get a feel for customer sentiment, how they were feeling about when they could travel again, and what the demand was like. And then from there, I'd say one of the biggest projects we worked on was our hygiene commitment, which originally began as a document and then evolved to be a video production that illustrated, like, a step-by-step walkthrough of what the new customer journey would look like, sort of give us the opportunity to reassure the customer and give them a feel for what to expect, because again, nobody kind of knew what was going to happen when we were allowed back into hospitality again. So yeah, that proved kind of the perfect opportunity to showcase all the protocols we had in place, while also being able to illustrate that, you know, the essence of hospitality was still very much there, but we were obviously conscious of customer concerns in the current climate. So felt that was really beneficial. And then, of course, the video sort of, you know, evolved and formed, I'd say, the key part of our campaign for reopening. So we reopened with a campaign called Your Safe Haven, which played on two key themes that we saw emerging. The first being that people just wanted out and wanted to experience a hotel stay. They just wanted out of their homes after being inside for so long. And then the second was that there was that sort of anxiety and a bit of concern over what's life going to be like, what's hospitality going to be like when we are allowed out again. So we were sort of in a lucky position. We kind of married the two together. And that was our opening campaign. And yeah, again, it was very much focused, I suppose, towards the staycation market. Like Leigh had said, 2021 is definitely the year of the staycation. So for us, yeah, we focus mainly on the staycation market, but also, you know, we have to keep the brand awareness campaign going as well, because again, as Leigh had discussed, travel will return again, international visitors will return, and we can't lose sight of that. So we kind of have to keep nurturing that as we go as well.
Yeah. So a lot of people that I've talked to on the podcast, and this seems to be the overriding theme, the keeping their customer at the front. What do they want to know? And I suppose I'm trying to give advice to other businesses that are listening, if they can think about the customer and what they need right now. And that seems to be what you have done. We need to feel safe when we go there. Are we going to feel safe? And you have done your video and, you know, put that out. So, you know, it's so interesting to see what you were spending your time on doing, you know, during that time. But what other changes have you made during closure? Like, I'm sure there's been other things that are going to ensure customers are going to get a safe an enjoyable experience when they do come back?
So we had a number of projects that we worked on while we were closed, which was really quite, I suppose, like a positive that came out of everything. You know, we were able to dedicate time to projects that maybe wouldn't have happened as quickly had we been open and operational as normal. So the first thing we introduced was a Galgorm Collection app, which serves as like a one-stop shop for all the information you need if you're visiting any of the collection properties. So we felt that was necessary because with coronavirus and the sort of health and safety aspect of it, we knew that the customer touch points that we had in place, such as menus, maps, your guest directories in your bedrooms, etc., they were all going to have to be removed. So it was a perfect opportunity to develop an app that would house all of that information. And then we're continuing to develop on that and hopefully be able to add some new capabilities to it this year. Probably the most exciting thing that came out of the time that we were closed was the expansion to the Thermal Spa Village. So we were able to reopen with a £2 million spa expansion, and that saw some really exciting new facilities. Like,
oh, tell us, everybody's going to want to feel like they're there when you're telling us. Please tell us what we're going to look forward to.
So I'd say the two show-stopping points would be the Vitality Pool, which overlooks the river. We also have the Palm House, it's called, which is like a botanical inspired building within the spa, which you can sit in and relax, or you can have a cocktail. There's also some new group hot tubs and a salt cave. So it's all very exciting, and wow. It was great to be able to welcome people back to something new.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty as well is that 90% of our spa is outdoors. And I think after being inside for so long, customers just wanted to be outside and enjoying nature. So, you know, it was brilliant.
That's amazing. Like those are like, I guess like I've been there as well. You think we're closed, what can we do? But you guys have just made yourselves so like ready to be opened again, and everybody's going to be so excited, especially when they hear that that's what they have to look forward to. So like whenever you're trying to get people to book the hotel, Catherine, what is the best type of digital content that actually drives sales? Because that's, at the end of the day, we can market, but what actually works to getting the actual person to commit to booking? That's what everybody kind of wants to know. So have you any kind of guidance on that?
Yeah, well, I think Victoria had said we are very lucky in that we have such a lovely product to market. And it is tricky to pinpoint one particular type of content. But I'd say if we were pushed in general, we see that video content is obviously what performs the best for us. And it's something that we have invested more and more in over the years. But for me personally, I think above all, it's kind of the overall package when it comes to content. You know, evocative copy and like a beautifully shot image or video is really what people want to see. And again, I think we're just very lucky that we have so much space and beautiful product to kind of promote as well.
Yeah, like that river, like that does it for me every time. Whether I see a wedding photo, I see someone in the spa on social or in yours, there's something about, well, I love the water anyway. There's something about that water. So like you say, it's that type of content, and putting it out there would make people kind of feel emotion and want to book. So yeah, right. So video, so focus on video was really what came out of that. I could talk to every single one of you all day, but I want to cover everybody first. Victoria. So whenever I'm talking on the podcast, I always talk about influencer marketing because of how effective it can be for business. Now, I know there's obviously, times when it can, things can go wrong or things doesn't work out. But in general, at the moment, it seems to have a very positive impact on businesses when it's done right. Can you tell me about how the influencer marketing strategy that the Galgorm would be implementing and how that has worked for you guys?
Yeah, sure. We have been really engaging with influencers across all of our brands from about 2015, really, since like Catherine was mentioning there about the launch of the Thermal Spa Village really in 2015. So that was when we kind of started shifting our emphasis to having, like an all multi-channel kind of campaign. influencer marketing, we find for ourselves is very, very is an important channel for us, because about 70% of our customers are all under the age of 45.
Right.
Social media is a real haven for those generations, so it kind of makes sense for us to utilize influencers as much as we can, as well, because especially with the likes of the young demographics, we can put out time and time again our own adverts, but influencers are often seen to them as more of a trusted source, and some of the influencers have had a fantastically engaged following, and they're seen to be sharing genuine opinions and information. They make great personal connections, so it makes sense for us to kind of tap into their target audiences whenever we can. It gives us a fantastic opportunity. They can create, like a real emotional response or trigger with some of their target markets as well. But from a marketing perspective, we've really been, as Leigh kind of mentioned there earlier, one of our key visions, I guess, is to cement the resort as an internationally recognised spa destination. So in 2015, whenever we launched the Thermal Spa Village, it was really, we started with a campaign which was called Be the First campaign. It was obviously be the first to experience the spa village, be the first to experience the new deluxe guest rooms as well that we had. So it was a coordinated campaign against outdoor and digital, and that was really our first experience of using influencers, because we wanted to engage with them to kind of showcase. At that time it was 75,000 square feet of spa that we had just launched, so it was really to kind of get across to people the sheer size, scope and facilities, and the influencers certainly really helped us to achieve that, and to kind of get the message across to people there of the size, and to kind of like really place Northern Ireland and ourselves on the international map. We feel that we certainly have had a good process, or we've got our way quite well in doing that, even with some of the awards that we have achieved, such as the Condé Nast Best Spa experience. But none of that could have been done without really the whole channel approach, and certainly influencers have very much been a part of that. But not even just for the spa village, but even, they're key to helping us increase, brand awareness. We introduced quite recently there our skin clinic at Galgorm, and we've been engaging with them for that. The likes of for the launch of the Rabbit Bit Bar and Restaurant last year, we had got people in to do reviews and to chat about it, and just to showcase the facilities, because we had undergone a massive transformation up in the Rabbit, and it was to let people see in a more, I guess, authentic, genuine way from somebody that they can imagine being, that they're sitting there and they're having their meal and they're seeing it through their eyes again. Mm-hmm. We've also kind of, we have a PR company based in Belfast and also one over in London as well. So we also utilise their experience in helping us identify, some of the key influencers that suits our brand, because there's some fantastic influencers out there, and it's really just about homing in on the ones that are right for you, with the right tone of voice and the right message. And we've worked with Tourism Ireland, as Leigh has said there. We've got a fantastic relationship with some of the industry bodies, Tourism Ireland, Tourism Northern Ireland, even right down to Mid and East Antrim Council, and some of the other councils now, and like the likes of Antrim and Newton Abbey, to kind of bring in more influencers either from the Republic and from Great Britain and further afield. We see it not just to benefit the resort, but to benefit the whole area and Northern Ireland. Let's showcase what we have got here in terms of a tourism product, and show it off to the best of its ability, and really put us on the map.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. And everything you're saying there, I'm like, yes. So there is business owners that are afraid, have never had to consider embracing influencer marketing before, but since COVID, we've all had to think outside the box. And have you any tips? Well, you've sort of said there, try and find people, that align with your right customer base and stuff, but have you any tips for businesses that are maybe trying to navigate their way through that at the moment?
Yeah, well, certainly. We'll just even go back as well, Caroline. They were massive for us last year whenever we first, as Catherine has kind of talked about there quite a bit, like our Your Safe Haven campaign, even as an extension to that. You know, we had, as soon as our doors were physically able to open last year, we wanted to bring influencers in so that people could see through the eyes of an influencer. We were able to put our own videos out, but it's let people see through the eyes of their influencers, the people that they know and trust and have a connection with. What was it like? So for us, whenever the influencers came and done that, it's just to reassure people. But from my perspective, as I said, there's fantastic influencers out there, but it's about identifying the ones that are right for your business. Have a look and see who's the perfect fit. What is their tone of voice? Does it match what your brand ethos is? You know, look at their engagement rate, you know, just some of the like, look at the engagement rate and look at, are they matching your kind of brand values? What's their traffic like? Really looking at how they, have they a love for your brand? They've even maybe been promoting your brand previously without even having any sponsorship or without you having to have a partnership or anything with them. So it's really just about, it's really just sitting down, researching and spending the time to get the right ones that suit it for your, you know, really for your brand, because they have a massive influence really now into today's market, and especially look at your target markets, use this time now wisely even to reevaluate where you're at. You know, we've sat, as Catherine said at the time we were doing our hygiene commitment video, we've sat down and went, who is our target market? Is it still the same? Has it changed anyway? If so, how has it changed? What do we anticipate people are going to feel like? What are they going to be doing whenever they come out? And try and align that with influencers. And it's about having a connection there, I guess. It's just about having a connection with people, have a connection with the influencers. And whenever you do that, it can bring up and open up massive opportunities.
So I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors of the podcast, and that is BNL Productions. I have been so busy over the past few years, and when I've needed to make digital things happen, it's BNL Productions that I have always put my trust in. Like, I think of these guys as a one-stop shop for all things events, live and film. The team have worked with me on so many things, the social media content when I owned my shop. They provided everything, like from scripting, casting, storyboards, multitude of cameras, lighting, sound, editing, all the things that as a business owner aren't my expertise. And they also supported us in the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards that I'm the co-founder of. Like, that night took my breath away. The lights, the PA, the camera feeds, the huge LED wall, I will never forget it. Like, if it's a live streaming conferences for your work or whatever your project is, like, they bring all the kit, the microphones, the screens, they produce high-end TV ads, custom animations. They sort everything out in a hassle-free way. And like, I've called them up with all my crazy ideas over the years, and you know what? No idea is too big or too small or too ambitious. That's what I've learnt about the team at BNL Productions. So if you are thinking of commissioning some new marketing videos or online content, I hand on heart recommend my friends at BNL Productions. I know they will look after you. So I just want to thank them for being the sponsor. In fact, they're even editing this podcast because that is not my expertise at all. So thanks a million, BNL. And if you want to check out their socials, it's BNL Productions, or visit their website at bnlproductions.co.uk.
Yeah, I think that, like, what I hear from business owners are like, I don't know who to, you know, I don't know. There's so many people telling me, shouting at me that give me this, do this, work with me. And I, you know, like what you said, you have to like have a kind of connection with them. And, you know, somebody could have 100,000 followers and you could work with them and get nothing from it, like very little from it, because it's not their fault. It's not the influencer fault. It's probably yours because you didn't really realize they weren't really talking to your audience or your customers. So yeah, research and trial and error. I suppose everybody needs to try things first, and you know.
That's it. And I think it's just having very clear communication with them, right? that, what is your aims and objectives? What do you want to achieve? What exactly do you want from them? There may be a little bit of compromise in the middle, but that's business. There is, but together, once you it is just about putting it out there and saying exactly what you want in return for a campaign. And once you get the communication out, evaluate it then afterwards. Did they meet the objectives that you wanted? What was the engagement rate like? What would you do differently? It's been a long process from us, even since starting in 2015, but it's always a learning curve, and whether it could be a mistake or not, you learn from those and you move on, and that's just how you grow.
Yeah, it's amazing too, the way it has evolved. Like whenever, like years ago, like I'm sure in 1991, the Hill family wouldn't even have considered that type of marketing, but like the way things have evolved is actually insane. But it's a new world. It's the new way we're in. People listen to people, and you're right. If you find the right ones, magic can happen. So, Annie, you talked there about the rabbit. Please tell me, like, first of all, the name. Like I want to know, I know we didn't talk about this before when we were in our brief for our podcast, but where does the name come from, and how has it been like launching a new hotel during a pandemic, and you haven't even been able to welcome guests in to stay yet, but just tell me a wee bit about it, Victoria.
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, we have undergone a complete refurbishment, and we did rebrand it. It was formerly called Templeton Hotel in Templepatrick, and we did rebrand it last year then to the Rabbit. I guess where the name really has came from is, and I don't want to reveal too much.
Oh, right. Okay.
I want all your own people to come in and see it for themselves. But I guess it's when you stand in there, and you look at kind of the design of the whole area, it's like an enchanted forest, I guess. And it's all really different wee areas. It's nearly like different wee warrens off to the side, and there could be a private meeting space here and a private dining space somewhere else. So it's kind of that theme, and that's, I guess, where the name The Rabbit has came from whenever we have sat and looked at the property all together. So certainly does, I guess, kind of take a little bit of bravery from our team to launch a new restaurant and bar, which opened on the 17th of July last year. But they were determined that the launch of The Rabbit would go ahead, and it was our aim that we are kind of classify The Rabbit to the sassy little sister of Galgorm. So we kind of, where possible, leveraged the confidence that people had in our Galgorm brand to launch in July last year. So it was originally the restaurant and bar, and it's got a fantastic outdoor space then as well for, hopefully, if we get out in the summer and get a little bit of sunshine, a lovely beer garden or a cocktail garden if you wish then instead. But this year then, what we're planning on doing very soon, whenever we are allowed to open, then will be the second phase of the whole project. So that will see a little trendy mini spa coming along board. So for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, check out our website you'll get a little sneak preview on there of what the spa is going to look like. And we'll be opening with 33 guest rooms, mini spa, and then there's also our loft, which is a fantastic wedding banqueting suite then as well. So the guys, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind for us, but we wouldn't change the journey that we've been on. But the owners have always been very bold and courageous ever since I have been here, even, in terms when there has been, like recessions or anything like that. They've always been kind of investing through adversity and thinking, let's look at the next plan, let's look at the next experience. And I guess that's the journey we love to be on, because that is the way they are, and they're always looking. As soon as they never let rest on their laurels, it's as soon as something's finished, it's like, what can we do next? How can we do this? How can we make the customer journey better? What experience would the customers like? Well, how can we grow and advance? So bravery, a little bit of determination, agility from our whole team. And we opened up in July last year, and we had a phenomenal start. A little bit disappointing that we didn't get to stay open, but hopefully now things are starting to look a little bit more positive with our roadmap, with the vaccination process. So we're just waiting and ready to open those doors to welcome everybody back again whenever it's safe to do so.
Who would have thought that this, like, seriously, sometimes when I'm listening to you talking, I'm like, it's closed, we're all closed. It's just unbelievable that we're in this situation. But when you hear you guys talk with such passion about your projects you work on, the hotel, welcoming people back, it gives, this is what we need. We need hope. We need to know that business is going to return to normal. Our lives, we're going to get them back. And if it's anything to do with the Galgorm, by the signs of it, and the Galgorm Collection, we're going to be having a flipping deadly staycation summer from news open until hopefully we never have to close again. So it's so exciting. It gets me excited listening to the team, like you guys. It's just unreal. And it takes everybody, like, I know this is only 3 of you, but there's more people on the team, and it is a massive machine. Like, it's not just like 3 people plugging away. It's a huge like effort, and it takes that, I suppose, to run something of such a big and like size. What, like, any words of advice, girls, like if we can go to everybody individually, if everybody has a bit of advice for business owners right now? I know there'd be business owners listening that are on a much smaller scale, like small business owners to big business owners hopefully are listening, but any general advice for businesses listening right now who are feeling very anxious about opening again, like marketing wise, like, you know, any tips for them, any words of wisdom? Catherine, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my advice is probably quite short and simple, but I think it is definitely relevant to everybody, and that would just be communication and authenticity, really. I think the events of last year have just brought a bit of an element of humanity back into marketing that perhaps wasn't there before. I mean, we can all think back to last March when all of our inboxes were just filled with subject lines with a message from our CEO, a message from our managing director. You know, it's just acknowledging the scenario that everybody's in and just keeping that clear communication with your audience at every step of the way. I think that's it. They just need a touch of humanity and acknowledging their kind of anxieties or that type of thing, really.
Okay, what about you, Leigh? What words of wisdom have you got for us all?
Yes, for me, in my role, or anybody else that's in that sales type of role, it's all about networking. It's all about building those relationships and collaboration. I learned very quickly that your business won't come back in the first year, maybe 2 years, which is why you need to keep building on that. You can't sit still. And I think that's come across today. Galgorm doesn't do that anyway. You can't rely on those same markets to sustain your business. So for me, I don't know, find something that you're really passionate about. Stay optimistic, be resilient. I'm a little bit competitive, as the girls would tell you. And I want to be the best that I can be. And I mean, the marketing team make it very easy for me to do my job. So it's all about teamwork. You know, if you have a strong team behind you, you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. And Victoria, what about you?
I think it's the opportunity. Gather together with your industry, share your experiences. What is your insights? You know, together, like we have found, speaking with the likes of the Hotel Federation, Tourism Northern Ireland, Tourism Ireland, and sharing our experiences, our thoughts, but also getting it to be in there with other hotels, just to see how they're feeling, what they're doing, what their points are. And another one would be to use this time to kind of review, look at your analytics again, look at your target customer. Are you on the right lines? Do you need to relook at your strategy going forward for the next few years and to align it with the staycation market? Is there anything, but look at your customer personas that you may have just to see, have they changed, and do you need to alter your marketing to fit in with that?
Yeah, and I suppose I'll give my advice too. Yous are all like, when I'm listening to that, I'm like, yes, you know, you have to show the humanity, and you know, we've all been through so much, and you can't maybe take the same attitude that you would have took before to dealing with customers and stuff, and always being, you know, positive and forward thinking, like you said, Leigh, like, you know, always striving to be the best. And I think every business owner does do that, or they wouldn't have started in business. They want to be the best that they can be. But my advice is, and you know, it sounds ironic coming from me, is maybe don't give up. And you know, I have a long story, you know, that I've told on here, and sometimes I feel like I gave up. But you know, sometimes you have to evaluate what's working and what's not. And my advice was, if things aren't working, make changes quick rather than, you know, sticking your head in the sand and hoping things get better. Maybe looking at the bigger picture, reevaluating and see what needs to change. And for some people that might be a complete change, and some people it might be smaller things in their business. But I guess if everybody takes words of wisdom from everybody that's speaking today, they might get a wee plan in place for moving forward and get them motivated, you know, that things are going to be okay, because they are going to be okay, aren't they, girls? I like to ask everybody else, it's never going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And yeah, so I'm excited for you guys too, like, to get back open again. It's just so soul destroying to see such an amazing, magnificent business be standing still. But when you listen to you today, you aren't standing still. Everything is going flat out in the background to make it even deadlier. Deadly is my favorite word, girls. Even deadlier for whenever you open. And, you know, it's so exciting to hear. It's going to get everybody excited for lockdown to be over, or the roadmap to roll out, and us all try and get back to normal. Where can we book the Rabbit, book the Galgorm? Like, everyone, you know, knows you're online, but what's the best modes of doing that, and how can we get a booking in this in these amazing places? Catherine, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So for Galgorm, you can visit galgorm.com, or you can follow us on Instagram. It's at Galgorm Resort. And for the Rabbit, we have rabbithotel.com, and the Rabbit, I actually have to check this one.
the rabbit _ hotel
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Okay. And yeah, so I just want to thank you all for joining me today. I know all your names, but never met you face to face. And how ironic that, you know, we can do it so well on Zoom, and we now, you know each other's faces. And it's brilliant that this, even though we've been forced into this new world, it's brilliant that I can, you know, see you all here, and I feel like I know you now, even though it's all been virtual. So it is the new way, but in some cases it's a good way, because it might have taken us a lot longer to all get together if we had been trying to meet up somewhere, you know what I mean, and travel somewhere. So I'm delighted to have had you here today. I wish you all continued success in the hotel. Every single part of your roles in the team is obviously doing great things, and I can see why you're all top of your game, and the Galgorm is the place to be. And that doorman as well, oh my god, whoever he was, he's probably still traumatized by my car. But I want to wish you safety, and the roadmap rolls out, that it all goes to plan. And yeah, maybe we'll have some big conference soon to attend in the Galgorm, and I'll maybe see you there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, girls. Thank you.
Perfect.
I know that sometimes that can be a lot to process, so we have made some show notes for you. If you head over to digmama.com and go to the Dig podcast page, you will see all of the information there. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our podcast. That will mean you'll be kept up to date with all our new guests. And also, if you want to follow all the drama behind the scenes, you can do that on the social media channels, Dig Mama. So yeah, have a happy week, guys, a safe one. Strange times, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, and I will see you all on the next podcast.